Welcome back to the show, folks. Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday Tier Talk. Darren will be joining us momentarily, but I said I'd start the show. So if you could hit a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button, all the usual housekeeping stuff that we expect from you guys out there and stuff like that. You have a great show for you tonight. We're going to be taking a look at the weekend's action and also for the League of Ireland and the Premier League. We'll be giving you previews and that. We'll be looking at the big winners in the awards for September that were announced. We'll be talking about Tommy Tukes. Tommy Tukes getting the England job. Who would have thought it? A German manager leading the England team into a World Cup. You can let us know your thoughts on that as well. We're also going to be talking about a few bits in relation to Man United. We're going to be talking about the Eric Ten Hag situation. The news this week that broke as well about Alex Ferguson leaving the ambassador role. And we'll also talk about the injury list that they have at the moment and all that good stuff as well. A few other bits in between as well that I'm sure we'll touch on as well, but we'll get started anyway, and we'll start with our League of Ireland preview, of course. Got a few little stats out here today, did a little bit of homework as well before we get into it. Doug, big up, Doug. How are you, my friend? Good to see you there in the chat. Doug, I think I just liked one of your TikToks there. I think it was one of the baby taking his first steps, Nathan. So congrats again on that. So there you go, my friend. Hope you are doing well. But let's get into it. League of Ireland, a pivotal weekend in the League of Ireland. Some fantastic matches you'll see there. We'll go through the matches. But I looked at some stuff. If you look at the form table there for the last 5 games, you could literally turn it on its head. Look, I say Pat's up there. 15 points from the last 5 games. 100% record. Rovers just behind with 10. Drogheda with 8. Galway with 8. Sligo with 8, Bows with 4, but right down in 9th and in 8th, you got Derry City and Shells, and this is what we spoke about the other night as well when we were talking about it, Mark. Big up, Romy. Hope you're good, my friend. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, like if you look at it, Derry down in 8th and Shells down in 9th, and we spoke about this the other night going, does anyone actually want to win this league the way things are going? Absolutely crazy, you know what I mean? But it's gonna be a heck of a run in. There's 3 games to go, kicking off this week as well. I had a look as well at the gap between 1st and 5th in the league as well. And if you look at the League of Ireland this season, 4 points basically separating the top 5. 4 points, right? And then if you look at last year, it was 25 points in the Premier League, 26 points in Serie A, 27 points in La Liga, 27 points in the Bundesliga, 30 points in Northern Ireland, and 46 points in Scotland. Absolutely on fire at the moment, the League of Ireland. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Big up, Baz, my friend. How are you? Good talking to you earlier, buddy. Roll me in. League of Ireland is on fire right now, which is good to see. It is great to see and great coverage. And we might have a cool little show planned. I haven't spoke to Mark about it yet, but I was thinking if we do get a really, really good tight finish on the last day, that last day of the season, I think what we're going to do is we haven't done one before on this channel. We might do a triple watch along where myself, Mark, and Darren will do a show simultaneously together, and we will each cover one of the top games. So we'll cover the top 3 games, and we'll bring you live coverage of it and stuff like that, which would be really cool. We haven't done it before, but we thought this might justify it because this doesn't often come around like this. So let's get into the fixtures. Friday, tomorrow night, nowhere else to be but on that League of Ireland app or following it on the TV. Drogheda United versus Rovers, Dundalk versus Derry City, Shelbourne versus Waterford, St. Pat's versus Galway. And then on Saturday, Sligo Rovers versus Bohemians. Let us know your picks for those fixtures. Let us know what way you think it go. Is it just going to roll forward into next week? The top contenders, are they all going to win? Daz is in. Big up, Daz. Yeah, he's in. He's coming on. He's dropping in a few minutes, Daz. He's just caught up. So I said I'd start with the League of Ireland stuff. And Romy, I have to go with Shamrock Rovers to win the league. Last time I was at their stadium, CR7 was doing his pre-season debut with us in 2009. Yeah, you know, it could. I tell you, if there's any slip up here at all now, if you open that gate, I think And I'll go through the fixtures now in a minute. Big up, Joanne. Thanks for joining us as well. We will have everything later on. We will have our Premier League preview shortly as well, and we will have Beat the Bookie and all the usual news stuff and all. But at the moment, I think I'm looking at the form here at the moment. I think Rovers are going to beat Drogheda tomorrow night. I'm looking at Drogheda's form at the moment. 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in their last 5. It's not the worst form in the world, but I think Rovers at the moment have that little bit of a bit between their teeth with 3 wins and a draw, 1 loss in the last 5 as well. But the thing for me looking at it at the moment is that game, Shelbourne versus Waterford. Shelbourne just have to find a way to win. They have to find a goal from somewhere, get their goal scoring going again. They got to get the crowd going behind them as well. No win in 10 and 2 draws, I think it is, in the last 5. They're on a slide at the moment, big time, and I would fear for Shelbourne. If they come off that top spot this weekend, they are going to find it very difficult to pick themselves up off the canvas. They feel like they're on the canvas already with the last 10 games and not a win. So they're way off the pace at the moment. I said it already on other shows. Shelbourne should have been dusted on this league at this stage. They should have paraded the trophy. The whole thing should have been wrapped up, slapped, and gone home. But it isn't. And that's what makes it so exciting for us as fans. But yeah, I think with Shelbourne versus Waterford at the moment, I think Waterford at the moment with a win and a draw in the last 5 and 3 losses, struggling there for form. But again, Shells at home should win tomorrow night. But we have said that on so many occasions in the last 10 games. So let's see what happens there. Roll me in. Damien Duff, great manager, I have to admit. Noel, would you have him as Ireland manager in the future? I don't think that'll happen. Haven't they had a bit of a falling out, didn't they, himself and the FAI, as far as I know? So I don't see it happening. Yeah, he's not too bad. I mean, this is kind of an acid test, really, isn't it, and stuff like that. This league this year, the opportunity for Shells to bring the title home is absolutely massive. You look at St. Pat's at the moment, so revived under Stephen Kenny at the moment. St. Pat's 5 wins out of their last 5, 15 points. You can see it there in the form table. They are the form team at the moment. And I tell you, if Shells mess up against Waterford and they don't get all 3 points, I think St. Pat's are going to have a huge say in this title race, a huge say. St. Pat's coming up against Galway United. I would expect St. Pat's at home to win that one. Absolutely flying at the moment. Dundalk versus Derry City. Would Derry City put the nail in the coffin of Dundalk in terms of relegation tomorrow night? And if they do, what a kind of an emotional event that's going to be, with 6 ex-players there on Derry's books at the moment, and all 6 have won the league with Dundalk. Could they play a part in relegating their old club? How emotional would that be? Stephen Kenny has a great agent. He gets a job easy. I tell you, he went into Pats and it was quite hostile in the beginning, and the results weren't great either. They were struggling. They were struggling for large parts of the season. But boy, oh boy, has he turned it around, and he has them playing like a unit now. Doing a fantastic job there. And listen, don't sleep on Stephen Kenny. Listen, we know what's happened with the Ireland job and stuff like that and all. But in terms of in the League of Ireland and stuff like that, Stephen Kenny, he matches up to anyone. Don't make no mistake about that. But yeah, St. Pat's I would expect to beat Galway. I have Shells to beat Waterford. They got to win tomorrow night. They have to win. If they have any designs on getting this league over the line, tomorrow night is a must win. Derry, I think, will beat Dundalk. Sad for Dundalk getting relegated and stuff like that. And myself and Mark have spoke about it now with John Temple going in there and stuff. It'll be interesting to see where Dundalk, what happens now, dropping down the division. And then Drogheda United, I think Shamrock Rovers will be Drogheda United, but I think it will be a tougher task going up there and stuff like that. But Rovers, again, will have to find a way to win to keep a foot in this. But tomorrow night, folks, is going to be so exciting. If you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, all those 4 games tomorrow night are all going to have a say in the title race. When does that ever happen in the league? Get on it, folks. It's incredible. And then you got Sligo Rovers versus Bohemians on Saturday. And folks, I'm going with a Sligo Rovers win. I'm going with a Sligo Rovers win against Bows on Saturday. So there you go. If Shelbourne win the league, they'll be eating all month. They certainly will. They'll be eating for a number of months. It'd be an incredible achievement. But it just looks at the moment. I mean, if you were looking at it and you were looking at what's gone on over the last 5 to 6 weeks and no less and even longer and stuff like that, if you were a betting man, would you be throwing your hat on Shells? Would you be throwing your hat on Shells? That's a game tomorrow night. You look at Waterford at the moment. Waterford with what? A win and a draw in their last 5 games. So if you were going to pick an opponent where you wanted Shells to bounce back, Waterford might be that opponent. But no doubt they'll make it very, very difficult. And no doubt a lot of these teams at the moment, you look at Derry as well at the moment. Derry with 3 draws out of 5, only 3 points, line 8th in the form table over the last 5 games. Derry should be on top of this league at this stage as well. And should have a little bit of a gap as well, to be honest. They're 2 points off the top. But look at what they've thrown away in their last 5 games, 3 points in 5. 3 points from 15. Let that sink in as well. And that's why we talk about who wants to win this league. Does someone actually want to go on and win this league? And that is the struggle at the moment. But tomorrow night is going to be absolutely pivotal. I'll be watching it. Mark will be watching it. The boys out of the chat on the Monday mashup and all, they'll be at it. The boys will be over there at Shells. Watching that game and willing their team over the line and stuff like that. They just need to find the goals to get the job done. Just reset. Get Duffer to sit them down and go, listen, reset, draw a line right here now. Go out and perform tonight, lads. Get the points. And we're there. It's in our grasp and stuff like that. If they fail to do it, like imagine a situation tomorrow night if Shells maybe draw, and imagine, Derry don't get the job against Dundalk. It's going to be quite emotional, I'd imagine. Imagine St. Pat's. Imagine if they get a draw against Shamrock Rovers. How this whole thing is going to concertina up and tighten up really, really quickly and stuff like that. And that's going to be really, really interesting from that point of view, Just bear with me 1 second here. Darren's on. I need a small favour. Can you send the link to this nuisance? Can he not send it to himself? 1 second, folks. Just need to get a link over to Darren. One second. Then. Bum, bum, bum. Let me see now. Then. Yeah. There we go. So there you have it. So let me know your thoughts, folks. Sorry about that. Let me know your picks. And everything else. And of course, we should mention as well, and I should have mentioned it at the top of the show as well, Liam, the lad from One Direction, who sadly passed away last night. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and stuff like that, and close friends, and the wider One Direction community and stuff like that as well, who obviously are feeling the pain of that loss now as well. So very, very sad for anyone to endure that. 31 years of age. So share a thought for that and take a moment to think about that. If Damien Duff wins, I'll buy him a copy of Black Ops 6. There we go. I love it. But there you go. So let us know in the chat, folks. Well, who are you picking? Who are you going for over this round of fixtures this weekend? Are you going with the obvious that the top 4 or 5 teams are all going to pull it off and going to win, or what are you thinking yourselves? Romy's in. R.I.P. Liam. I remember his match against Kurt. He wasn't too bad. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's your roundup, folks, for the League of Ireland. I will be checking it out tomorrow night. Myself and Marky conversing all the time on Friday nights about the League of Ireland stuff. That's my picks for the weekend. So just to run down through them again: Rovers to beat Drogheda, Derry to resign Dundalk to relegation, Shelbourne to pick up the points against Waterford, St. Pat's to beat Galway, and then Sligo Rovers to pick up the win on Saturday against Bohemians. That is your League of Ireland roundup. And no doubt on Monday it will be a huge topic of conversation when I'm back on with Marky on the mashup. Now we come. How are we, my friends?
Good evening.
You know the way you asked me to send you an email there? You know you could just go into your other email and send it to yourself.
I would have if I could have been able to get into their email.
Oh, the other day you were telling me about the phone. Yeah, sorry, I totally forgot. Totally forgot. There you go.
That's okay.
There you go. There you
I
go.
wasn't
Joanne's
stiffing
happy. Joanne's happy. Here he is.
Thanks,
Pat
Joanne.
McAfee in the house. Pat McAfee in the house. There you go. These guys, they don't know whether Pat McAfee, AJ Styles, they don't know what it is, you know. There you go.
I've brought you some new offerings this evening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know when I get high on something, I like to share this with everybody. I'm high on this at the minute.
Yeah.
This is Calafia Farms. You see that?
Oh, I've seen it, yeah. I've seen it around as well, yeah.
So it's cold brew coffee, and this is the caramel flavored. I have to tell you.
So is it more caramel than coffee when you drink it? Because I can't drink coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm a tea drinker, so I don't like the taste of coffee.
It's quite a nice caramel flavor, which probably means we know a gentleman who might like it.
That's it. Yeah, he was in the chat earlier. There he is.
Was he now?
Here. Oh yeah, he was on to me. I was talking to him earlier as well. Yeah.
And then, like, if you're gonna have Calafia Farms cold brew caramel, I thought I'd bring these along for the ride. Look.
What are they now? Oh yeah, I like them. Crafted with care.
So you have chocolate Viennese whirls, butterscotch crunch, chocolate oaty crumbles, and then we finish off with chocolate cookies, sultana melts, and shortbread rings.
Have you sampled one of each?
I haven't opened the box yet.
Oh, okay.
You had me a hello though. Haven't opened the box yet. And this is in the absence of dinner. My wife is at a wedding.
It's not a bad substitute.
Listen, there's no point in lying.
Are you going to plug where you got the stuff from now?
Well, the Calafia Farms are getting, it's like Super Value, Dunn's, Tesco. Yeah. It's available everywhere.
Yeah,
it's in all of them. This is an interesting one though, because usually I buy them in a litre bottle, whereas this is only a little 250ml jobby, which I like the idea of, because you only drink a certain amount of it and then it's gonzo.
And if you buy the litre bottle, what are you doing? Are you putting that in a glass with a couple of cubes of ice, or what way do you do it?
I am. Yeah. I usually put it in my big Yankees, the cylinder cup. You know, the one I drink out of? I usually put it in that, but the only problem is it tastes amazing. So generally on a Sunday, if I open a bottle of it, I drink the whole thing, the litre of it.
Whole litre?
Yeah.
Jesus, you must be buzzing, are you?
No, it's not overly like, woo. It's not, because I have a really high sensitivity to caffeine. So it's not buzzy like that. Yeah. It's more tasty. It ain't
very good.
It ain't that tasty though. Oh God, look at him.
Oh, nice.
And they've mixed them up.
So where did you get them? Where did you get them?
Got them in Dunn's on the seasonal lane. You know the lane that they bring in for Christmas, and you get the odds and ends and the bits and bobs and all.
Yeah, very nice. Joanne's in. I got some pickled onion Monster Munch mayo today.
Oh God.
Pickled onion Monster Munch. I find it very hard to eat those crisps. Do you know, as far as I go, do you know I used to be bloody burger bites. Remember burger bites?
Sure do. In the orange pack, they still do them.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know, but they destroy your teeth. The options: cherry hot chocolate is nice, and the green triangle mocha.
Oh, very good.
There you go. Cherry hot chocolate and green. Cherry hot chocolate, yeah, and green triangle mocha. I'd be scared if I try one, I might like it. There you go. Diabetes in a box. That's what we're all about. We're all about that on this.
The difference now, and I think Niall will probably hold his hand up here. The difference is I'll probably have 3 or 4 of these biscuits, but I have a feeling you might have more than 3 or 4 if you were to have a little sitting there, would you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm like Pringles. I don't stop till I hit plastic. I reach over and I do not stop till I hit packaging or plastic. I don't. And I can tell you that now. Listen. I've no problem polishing off half a packet of digesters with a glass of milk with ice. No problem.
Oh,
No problem. I'm not.
God.
You see, you've been away with me. I'm all in. I'm not half
Oh,
measured.
listen. I
Ain't no
know
half
that.
measures with this
I'm just
kid.
not that. I'm just not that kind of guy that I need to. That I need to. People calling me. Will we answer it?
Go on, you may as well. Who is it?
Hello. I'm on the podcast. What's up? Is that important? Yeah, I'll send you a message and all that, okay? No bother, you're welcome. Take it easy. See you, pal. Bye.
If I ate them biscuits, I'd have a foot like Marty Jannetty. I got some Fox's biscuits cheap this week as the boxes were damaged. Fox's biscuits are quality.
Absolutely. I would say I'm a huge Fox's biscuits fan, by the way, Joanne, but I won't have them. And Niall might tell you this. Sometimes when I really, really like something, I don't have it in the house at all. Just because
you won't stop till you hit packaging.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
There's a certain thing we can't have under this roof. Real butter.
Oh.
Can't have it.
Why?
Can't have it. Because if I opened that that foil that you peel back, you get to that fresh block of butter.
Yeah.
That's it. It's game over.
In what way?
I just toast a sliced pan and sit there tipping away at it like.
Oh man, you want to see me today? I committed absolute anarchy on a batch loaf today. You want to see it? Man, it absolutely got done in big time. You see, because I kind of I get up fairly early, especially on a Thursday. I'd be up at 6:30 with the dogs. So I get up, let the dogs out, feed them, water them, and then I go in and I have my first breakfast. So that's at about 7:15. So then what happens is the kids tiptoe down then around 8 o'clock. Dylan comes down. I have to drop him to school and all, and he's having breakfast then. Then I might have the bowl of cereal. You see, so that's breakfast number 2. And then when I get back from the school, Hills is tiptoe down. She's doing intermittent fasting, so she's not eating till 11. So that's breakfast 3. So that's when the batch kicks in again. So you know what I mean? So it's just a disaster. And the problem is where we sit and watch TV, I'm literally a leg stomp away from the kitchen. So it's impossible to avoid it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I did do the other day? I got a big smile yesterday or the day before when I walked around Duns. I came around the corner and what was there? A whole pallet full of chocolate Kimberley. My God, man. I'd just get that pallet delivered to a desert island. No problem. No problem. I'm telling you, man. Serious. Sour cream and chive Pringles. Ridiculous. Again, only for my hand is so fat and my arm is so thick. I have to pour them out, so I can't work my way down to the bottom of the tube. Kerrygold butter is my favorite.
So Kerrygold is the problem.
Kerrygold is Kerrygold. It's the butter at Champs Worldwide.
If there was Kerrygold in the fridge. So Heidi, my sister-in-law, is married to a lovely gent by the name of Stuart, and Stuart's from a farming background, so it would be blasphemy if you didn't eat real butter.
Oh yeah,
it would be blasphemy. So there's always butter in their house, with the effect I could just stroll into their house any hour of the day or night, and generally they'll know. I might not even talk to anyone. I might just walk straight through their house to their kitchen, and just they don't keep their toaster out on the ledge. They have it locked away, behind a little cupboardy job. So you pop it out. I'll just go in, pop in their toaster, and then just stand there waiting. And I might say, "All right, lads, what's happening?" And they're going, "Are you just here for toast again?" I'm like, "Absolutely. That's all I'm here for. Your toast. Doesn't matter what kind of bread. Could be a bagel, could be a little McCambridge, could be like a piece of batch, could be something. The bread of choice doesn't really matter, because once you get that golden goodness on top of it, That's
Is
it.
batch the king?
Not for me. I love brown bread.
Brown bread.
It. You know, like the little square stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love
the little wheatens. The little
love
wheatens.
That. Now here's another one, because Rosanna my wife doesn't eat butter at all. Like, not at all. Right? She's like almost allergic to it. She's like, no. Oh God, bad. But what I also do is I do this other weird thing where when I toast the bread, I let it go cold.
Oh no!
I let it. I can't.
That's what Hillary does as well. She stands it up like that to let it go cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no! Can't be doing that.
Yeah, because what I don't want is I don't want the butter to go into the bread and not be on top of it. So I would have like little mountains and peaks and troughs of butter on top of the, where it would go in and then come up in little.
Just butter it twice. Butter it, let it melt, and then go another layer.
I don't like it being dribbly and drool, but I like when I can pick up the toast and you can get the butter peaks on the top of it, and you're just like, munch.
Cold bread. What do you mean cold bread? Now we're talking. How can you make toast and have cold toast? It defeats the purpose. That's like making a cup of tea and letting it go cold and then having it. You have to have your toast roasting.
No, not for me.
Man. See, that's why I go for the batch, because
the longer you leave the toast as well, the chewier it gets.
Yeah, but if you toast batch normally takes 2 rounds in the toaster. You won't get it first time. So when you pull it out, then it's like a frisbee. You could knock a hole in the wall with it. So the butter doesn't melt down into it. It's all good. Technique.
In general,
technique.
I'm not a puller out or anyway, like,
Cold toast and all just be soggy and everything, and all. It's rotten.
No, it's never soggy. It's crispy. It's crunchy. It's chewy.
But underneath it
soggy.
goes damp. It goes damp on the plate and everything.
No, it doesn't. No, stop that, will you?
Cold toast, I meant to say. I even dip my toast into my tea. You do not, do you? Dip your toast. Now I know, Darren, you don't. You wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be doing that now. We had a row here the other night in the house talking about dipping fries into a milkshake. Give it over now. Can't be doing that.
Loads of people do that. There's some sick puppies though.
It is, yeah. Dipping it into the tea. So then you get the butter in the tea. Or did you say you don't like? He absolutely. Oh, he doesn't use it. So, Romy, what do you put on your toast?
Drop a jam.
If you don't like butter, are you going in with a spreadable or something? Remember those old big tubs of margarine years ago? Oh my God! I have a lick mat here for the dogs, and I spread peanut butter on it. And the dogs will be licking the peanut butter off the mat, and you want to see them going. They'll be going around like this for about an hour because of the peanut butter. You dip dry toast into your tea. Oh man, that's torture. That's like.
That'd be far too messy for me. I couldn't dip. Like, I don't even like dipping biscuits into tea.
Oh, you have to. Well, it depends on the biscuit. Like, if you get a good hobnob and you dip it, like your fear is breakage, is it?
My fear is mess. I don't like mess.
Breakage. Yeah, but see, if you go to hobnob brew, because they're the marines of dippers, they won't snap. You can leave them in the cup for 2 minutes. They still won't fall apart. Dry toast. I like cold tea too. My granddad used to have cold tea in the war. Yeah, but was that, Joanne, was that by design, or was it just the fact that there was a war?
I was going to say it might not have been.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Listen,
I'm
Joanne,
eyeballing this lad.
Don't be mentioning the war. Don't be mentioning the war either. We're about to talk about Thomas Tuchel in a bit, so don't be mentioning any.
Will we talk about Thomas first and then do the preview?
I think we should do the preview first.
Come on, let's change it up a bit. Come on,
you want to change up a Saint Ivel butter. Saint Ivel butter used to be nice. There you go. I dip a rocky caramel biscuit into my tea. Oh yeah, that's. I don't know. I don't normally dip a chocolate biscuit or anything like that now. But certainly now. A rich tea as well. So rich tea are basically just gone off biscuits. You can dip them in. They're solid as a rock as well. Like they don't bend on nothing. Oh yeah, chocolate hobnob. I don't normally do I do chocolate ones, but I wouldn't dip a chocolate one now. There you go. Yeah, it was known that in the war they used to have cold tea. Rough going. Right, come on, let's talk then. Tommy Tukes, give us your thoughts on it. Did you read today that apparently the first person who might get the axe out of the squad is Jordan Pickford, no less? That was the talk today. Little news story broke, yeah. What's your thoughts?
Doesn't fit the height regulations anymore. Is that where we're going with this, or what's the story?
Maybe Thomas is a religious man and he's thinking about putting the Pope back in.
Maybe. I am just so grateful and so thankful. As much as shit has gone downhill in Old Trafford, I can go on bended knee and thank the Lord Jesus Christ that when eventually Eric Ten Hag leaves the building, we won't end up with Thomas Tuchel. That for me is helping me sleep at night. Because if there was one person, and you know that I've said this all along, and it's not a pedigree thing. It's not, I don't believe he's a decent manager. It's not, I don't not understand that he's won stuff. I just think he's extremely divisive. We know everywhere he's been, it's generally ended pretty badly. I just think in the absolute slum that is Old Trafford, I think he would be an absolute slumlord, and that just would not work. So for me, I'm delighted he's gone to England. I think it puts England in a better position, not necessarily a more attacking position, but certainly in a better position, because I think they'll have a really good base to build off. And I think he'll give them an identity. I think they'll work their absolute socks off, and if they don't, they won't play. And I think they'll be in the mix. I think they'll be in the mix.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different conversations over the last few days. There's those who have bought into it because, there is, as a coach, there's a certain level of pedigree there. We know it generally doesn't end well, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. But I suppose at international level, it's more of a part-time job, so it's not as in you, if you like, in that intense bubble. But
no, it doesn't.
I suppose there's no transfer window. Yeah, but there's no transfer window either. He's not going to any board. Like a lot of the times when he falls out, a lot of it is he hasn't got the support off the board that he wanted in terms of players and targets and stuff like that, which you can avoid a lot of that at international level because literally he's going to pick his panel. You know what I mean? So it's going to be his team.
Well, he's going to pick his panel to a certain degree. I think if he walked in the door tomorrow and decided he was dropping Harry Kane, he'd meet some resistance from the lads above him.
Possibly, but I mean, he's still.
Do you know what I mean? So
he still obviously hasn't gone in there and taken that job unless there's a certain level of where he's going to decide.
Absolutely, and I do expect there to be some changes. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of cream at England, a lot of cream. But I think if I look at Thomas Tuchel, he doesn't tend to have 8 or 9 of those guys in his team. Thomas Tuchel is a cold cups of tea man. He wants to go through the war with a smile on his face. That's the kind of style it's going to be. You know what I mean? He's absolutely going to be results driven. It won't be pretty at times, but he'll win games and he'll win big games and he'll get them further down the road than they have been. But I don't necessarily think anyone will look at them and go, "Oh wow, they're great to watch." I think they'll be a team that learn how to get over the line. And I think at times that's as important, especially when you have a group of players with the amount of pedigree that the England squad has.
Well, especially if you think over the last few years, the England team has done really, really well and they've looked fantastic, but they haven't won. So now you kind of have to find maybe this is a different guy with a different way. And he's going to try and push to get you over the line. And as you said, at times, it'll be heartbreaking to watch, But then, if he was to win a World Cup, there you go. But yeah, it's going
to be a fan of his.
Absolutely. What have you made of the? What have you made? I wanted to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people coming out. A lot of Sam Allardyce has been coming out. Harry Redknapp's been coming out. Lots of people have been coming out and they've been talking about a German manager leading the England team the old enemy, all this kind of stuff. Football necessarily isn't a war and stuff like that. It's different for us here in Ireland, obviously, because like we generally don't have, in by and large, Irish managers leading the Irish team. So in some respects and stuff like that. But how do you feel about that? Do you care about that, or is it about getting the right guy to get you to where you want to get to?
Listen, you know, me personally, I'm not a guy who harbors an awful lot of hate. That's not how I like to go about things. As an Irishman, I'm a big fan of the English national team. I always have been. It gets me in trouble at times in our own WhatsApp group, but it's still something. Like, I support an English team week to week. I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I wanted Marcus Rashford to win every game in a red jersey and I wanted him to lose every game in a white jersey. That, in my head, just doesn't make sense. I like things in my life to be logical. So that, for me, doesn't just stand up properly. The German thing, you know, if he's gonna be the guy to lead you to something, I think nationality so far down the list, it's unimportant. You know, if you think he is the guy who can lead you down that golden path to a trophy, to a Euros, to a World Cup, to a Nations League, something. Because don't forget, there are stepping stones. So it might be we win a Nations League before we win a World Cup, or we win a Nations League before we win a Euros. And that's okay, because you've got to understand that winning is a process, and you build habits around winning and around losing and stuff like that. So, you know, I think any sort of a victory here would be a step in the right direction for England. Any type of silverware, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, we spoke about it today. such a plethora of talent. And even when you delve down into like the backup plan and everything else and all, there's so much talent there, so many options there. It's going to be very interesting to see how he pulls it together.
Starting 11s.
Yeah, but it's how he will put it together in terms of his style. You know,
absolutely. I got to be honest, and it's funny that you have him in the graphic, because I imagine somebody like a Conor Gallagher is going to go from zero to hero very, very quickly in that English side.
Who's also playing very well at the moment.
He's playing really well at Madrid, at Atletico, but I think that's the kind of player that fits the mold of Thomas Tuchel. I think it's not necessarily going to be about flair players. It's not necessarily going to be about, you know, players that can unlock a defense and stuff like that. I think it's going to be much more pragmatic. I think it's going to be about 11 guys all rowing and pulling in the same direction. That's how I think England will look. And if I'm talking about that, you know, you're looking at a Conor Gallagher. He's absolutely going to be, excuse me, really high on that list, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be I'm really looking forward to seeing his first squads, but I think I read today as well, I don't think, does he kick in the new year? I think, is Carsley still taking the November
1st of January, I think. 1st of January.
So Carsley will still be taking the November situation, so, but it's going to be interesting, but I can't wait to see his first squad that he picks.
Hold on, I'm going in. I'm delving. Hang on.
I have to take the slide away for it.
What am I going here? I'm going for a chocolate oaty crumble.
Okay.
Here's what I'll tell you. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's chocolatey. It's very oaty. And indeed, it's crumbly. That's phenomenal. Oh, dear Lord. That's made by family bakers since 1984. Here it was born. That is. That's a good biscuit, man. My God.
Made with care and attention. That's
got. It's like shortbread with a hobnobby oaty crunch. And then you get that little bit of chocolate just left on your tongue because it's just a little. Very nice. Wow. That was impressive, wasn't it?
Let's get on to this. The awards for September. Give me your thoughts. I don't think there's any argument about the bottom two at all, is it?
Oh, I got to be honest. I don't think there's an argument with any of the four of them. They were actually the four I picked.
Joanne, don't be tempted by him. Don't be tempted by him. Don't be going to the biscuit press.
I did go Maresca. I did go Palmer. I did go Onana, and I did go John Duran for the goal because the goal was just next level. It was absolutely. Just next level. Like, have we seen a cleaner hit in recent years? I mean, it's absolutely such a good strike. I listened to something about John Duran recently, and it was something internally from Aston Villa, and they had money on the table for Duran during the summer. And every time, the bid went down on the table, apparently the page wasn't even open to look at the price. And it was just taken off the table and put into the bin. No, not for sale. Next one. No, sorry, not for sale. Not even looking at the numbers, yeah? This is because apparently behind the scenes, between Unai Emery, between the Aston Villa coaches and stuff like that, he's apparently on a completely different level than a huge amount of the players. Like they said, talent-wise, he's in a different galaxy. But I think, again, from hearing the story I heard, there can be a little issue at times with application. I think it's, such a good player, but at times doesn't want to put the work in, maybe because things come very, very easily to him. But like the talk, and this is crazy, by the way. Now, obviously, we've seen some of the goals lately, so we know the kid he's really got stuff going on here. But the talk is there's people behind the scenes in Aston Villa who believe one day this kid could be up on a Ballon d'Or list. Now that's massive. I heard this couple of days ago. Someone from Insight, I'm trying to think where I heard it, but they were speaking about it, and they just couldn't say enough about the kid, and that he was apparently the crown jewel. That when the bids came in the summer, they didn't even open the envelope to see what was in it. They just threw it in the bin and went, "No thanks, he stays."
It's great to hear that support for Emery as well, isn't it? From the board as well.
Unbelievable.
Because I'm sure the offers were tasty enough, to be honest.
Well, I mean, we know Chelsea were really interested in him at one stage, don't we?
Absolutely.
Really was. And I mean, if you look at what's gone on so far at Chelsea, I mean, Jackson has certainly done very, very well so far. But I mean, like, to have a Jackson and then a Duran to dovetail from each other, the way Watkins and Duran are doing, you know what I mean? Like that would have been huge for Chelsea as well. Really would have,
Absolutely. So interesting. Just wanted to get your thoughts on them there, but I think I agree with you there. I think there was a few questions, obviously, about the top two boys, but I think overall, the job they've done and stuff like that, I think Chelsea has shocked everyone, to be honest.
Absolutely. And listen, here's the thing.
Look, Jordan,
we certainly, we're always quick to call things out and to call people out for certain things. Like, we've called Chelsea out a bit for what went on under Todd Bowley and stuff like that, and the scattergun approach and transfer and everything like this. So far this season, Chelsea have been the surprise for me.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Maresca has done a sterling job so far. An absolutely sterling job with them. He really, really has. And I think, to be honest with you, they're only going to keep getting better, because I think every week they look like they're getting a little bit closer to what he wants them to do.
Yeah, they're certainly getting some key players back and all. Reece James back in training this week as well, so that's going to be pivotal for him when he gets players like that back as well. So, right, let's do our Premier League preview, and we start off with Spurs versus West Ham.
Yeah. I suppose after the international break, it can be a little bit difficult when you're looking at these, can't it? You're not sure, who's picked up knocks, who's travelled well, who hasn't travelled well, because there's guys going on good spins. I mean, we know Son was obviously in Far East Asia and stuff like that, and West Ham would have probably had kudos over in Senegal and stuff like that. So there's a lot of guys you're unsure, will they be there on the day or how's it going to work and whatever. The last day out, Spurs obviously were turned over, and they were up against Brighton. We remember watching the game. They were in control, 2-0 up, lost the game 3-2. It was a phenomenal game of football. So they would have probably been really looking for a game after that to try and set the record straight. But they've had to wait and stew over it for 2 weeks, sort of thing. That can be a plus or it can be a minus. West Ham, I feel like, are in a very similar position to Spurs. West Ham got the ball rolling the last day against Ipswich. Obviously got a huge 4-1 win at home and would have wanted a game 2 or 3 days later to try and build momentum. But again, the international day broke things up for them. So I'm a little bit undecided on how I think this might go. I think Spurs at home don't generally concede too many goals. I think they're a really good team at home. And West Ham haven't managed to keep too many clean sheets this season. So on that basis, I think Spurs might nick it, but I don't necessarily think there'll be a whole lot in it. And I'm just going to go Spurs 2-1.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be tight, all right. Tight.
I think so.
Yeah. Fulham versus Aston Villa.
Yeah, so again, plucky Fulham the last day out, lost 3-2 to Manchester City. And Villa put in probably their worst performance of the season against us, didn't they? Was that the worst you'd seen, Villa? I thought they were absolutely toothless against us.
A lot of changes, they looked tired.
They looked tired. They looked tired. They looked like, and as we talk about every year, they looked like a team that was now playing European football week to week, and between the travel and the lack of recovery time and the lack of time to train and have guys fresh, I think there was a drop off there at Villa. Again, I would expect a much better Villa this weekend, but Fulham at home at the Cottage aren't an easy task. They're always very, very good there under Marco Silva. They'll get at you. They'll have the bodybuilder up there in Traore, trying to create space at the back there. They're dangerous on the counter attack with Smith Rowe and with Jimenez coming back to form and the boy Muniz and stuff like that. So they'll make it a tough day for Villa. And if Villa do get over the line, it'll be very, very hard fought. And with that in mind, I'm going to go Villa 2-1.
Yeah, I was thinking a score draw like 2-2 or something.
Well, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me.
Ipswich versus Everton.
Yeah. Again, like two teams. You look at the last day out, Ipswich obviously took a bit of a spanking at West Ham, which probably wasn't what they were after. The performances have been better than they were against West Ham. West Ham was a poor performance. They played really poorly. I think going back to Portman Road, they'll be better. But I think Everton obviously got a really good draw the last day at home with Newcastle, Jordan Pickford saving the Anthony Gordon penalty and stuff like that. I think that makes it a decent game. I do think, though, at home, if we recall back to the Aston Villa game, Ipswich have goals in them at home. The boy Liam Delap and stuff like that. You've got the boy Amari Hutchinson. You've got Sammy Smodics. For me, Ipswich have more goals in them than Everton. They're probably not much better at the back than Everton are, but they certainly have more of a cutting edge and an attacking threat. So with that in mind, I am going for Ipswich to get off the mark with a win here. And I'm going to say Ipswich 3-1.
That's a big result. And that's kind of, these are the kind of games where Ipswich need to pick up the points, don't they? If they've
absolutely.
Any staying in the division and stuff like that.
Teams lower down the league who have similar, expectations and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Joanne's
going Fulham 2, Aston Villa 2 as well. Yeah,
we're going for the. What are we going for? The chocolate Viennese whirl.
Well, you're probably going to need it for this next game, are you? Interesting, Joanne. 2-1 to everyone.
Tell you what.
Huge.
It's the best £6 I've spent in a while.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Best £6 I've spent in a while.
Man United, Brentford.
Will it be easy? Absolutely not. Do I expect a really tough day at the office? Absolutely. It's right now for us, this is just about getting over the line. I think even with the injuries with the likes of Rashford and you know, Hoyland and Fernandez and Xerxes, I think we've enough there to get over the line. I think it could be a really awkward day at the office. We could be looking at another one of those Scott McTominay scenarios where, you know, we're losing the game and we manage to claw it back and then we get a late winner. But I think we'll win on Saturday. And I'm going to go the reverse to what Joanna's going. I'm going to go 3-1 United.
That'll be a big one. That's going 2-1. Anyway, I don't know. This is just there's just such a dark cloud over United at the moment on every level, isn't there?
Absolutely.
And it's just this is maybe the international break have done you good that you've kind of got away from that hot pot in there, that stress and pressure of what's going on there, and maybe come back a little bit refreshed and energized and good to go, maybe, and
also like over. Guys can get out of each other's faces, and maybe, you know, some of the guys who weren't involved in international stuff took a little break, you know, and taking a break, they might have got away for a couple of days with their families. They might come back and they might feel like, you know what, that glass is half full now rather than half empty. And it just can change perceptions and, you know, stuff like that. And I think it's not a bad game for us. I think if we look at maybe how Brentford were at Anfield, they were plucky and, you know, they put in a reasonable performance, but they weren't a huge threat. You know, they certainly didn't batter you guys for 90 minutes or anything like it. And I think towards the end of the game, you wore them down, you grinded them down, and you got over the line. And I just think we'll see something similar. That's what I think.
Certainly going to be interesting. Anyway, I don't know. I wonder did a lot of these players go off an international break expecting to come back to a different gaffer? I'm not too sure. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Anyway, Newcastle versus Brighton.
Yeah, so again, when we talk about sides who would have been looking for this game, I think Newcastle are absolutely one of them. Obviously went away the last day to Goodison Park, got the penalty, was saved by Jordan Pickford. They didn't create an awful lot, Newcastle, on the day, but I still think they were value for money for a win, which they didn't get. Brighton, again, a team who are probably looking for this next game because they did a phenomenal comeback against Spurs. They were 2-0 down. They looked dead and buried. And to be honest with you, at the stage it was at 2-0 didn't flatter Spurs. Spurs were very, very good. We're 2-0 up. We're knocking the ball around at the back, playing two-touch. It was really, really good. And then out of nowhere, Brighton just hit the accelerator and took off. And you're watching this going, is this the same team that I just watched being absolutely mauled for the first half? It was phenomenal. It really was.
Danny Welbeck. We have to talk about Danny Welbeck.
The free kick and stuff like that was just, it was super. It really was. It was superb. Really, really was. Now, we know, like, Brighton have that in them. They've beaten United this season. They obviously, 10 men went to the Emirates, got a draw, were probably unlucky not to win. They've obviously had a turnaround then against Spurs. And, like, so this is Brighton. Brighton know how to play football. I don't think anyone loves going to St. James's Park. I don't think that's high on anyone's to-do list. And don't forget, that's probably going to be a flight for Brighton. It's the south coast to the northeast and stuff like that. So it's a good, like, bus ride. That's about 6 hours, I imagine.
Yeah,
So
they'll
they're
be
probably
heading up
going to
tomorrow.
fly.
Probably tomorrow evening, isn't it?
Maybe or they might fly up on Saturday morning. Some of them will fly the day of the game, and then they'll fly back after the game. That's happening a bit now, because then there's no, obviously you're paying for a flight, but you're not paying for
hotel
your
and
coaches,
security,
and you're not paying for hotel security and the whole shooting match. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a spin for them. I don't think anyone loves going to Newcastle. Newcastle will drag them down. They'll make it gritty. It'll depend massively on if the boy Alexander Isak is back from the toe injury and stuff like that. And obviously, Newcastle look a little more blunt when he's not available. But it's to be expected. He's one of the best strikers in the league for my money, I have to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised to see this play out to it, some sort of a 1-1 draw, not too many goals, 2 defenses on top, and that kind of thing,
Yeah, that was my thinking, a draw. I think I have a draw as well later when we have a look at our bets. I think I did that. I think I have that in there as part of the bet, yeah. Southampton versus Leicester.
Yeah, Southampton and Leicester is another. We look at the last day, obviously, and Southampton put a reasonable performance in against Arsenal. Arsenal just, were able to go through the gears towards the end of the game and pick up the points. Leicester, a great win. Leicester did me out money the last day, because I was full sure Bournemouth were going to pick up the win, and Bournemouth let me down. But Leicester were good value for their win, defended stoutly, obviously nicked the goal on the counter-attack and stuff like that, but it was a good performance from Leicester, and they've been decent this season so far under Cooper. They really have. I favour Leicester in this game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I don't think it's going to be end to end. But Joanne, you've just stolen the words out of my mouth. I just think Leicester will nick this 2-1. I think it'll be one of them games, somebody takes a lead, we end up at 1-1, and then later on somebody nicks it. There's a bit of pressing, and all of a sudden, boom, and it's game over.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy party, as they say, potentially. Yeah, absolutely. Bournemouth versus Arsenal.
Did you get a moment to look at the Arsenal injury list?
I seen some of it all right. I didn't see all of it. I didn't get an update. What's the latest on Saka? Saka out?
So just from what I got, just from what I got glancing at it. Yeah, so just what I got from glancing at it, yeah. This was what I saw, and I thought, when I saw it, I thought, wow, that's a lot. So obviously Tierney is out, Zinchenko is out, Ben White looks like he's possibly out, the boy Timber is also possibly out. So that's 4 fullbacks, right? You've then got Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, Partey, and Odegaard. I don't think so, Joanne.
Havertz is out as well.
Knee injury unknown, it says here.
Oh.
So Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, Odegaard, and Partey on top of all the fullbacks. Like, that's, if me maths is anyway decent, that's 9 players. That's a big list.
And of that 9, 6 of them are probably, like, you could part maybe Zinchenko and Timber.
Out of the 9, 7 of them start.
Yeah.
Well, White's your right back and Timber's your left back. Saka and Martinelli are your 2 wide players, yeah. Havertz is your 9, when Odegaard is your 10, and when Partey's your 6. So that's, you've 7 of them 9 of who should be involved. So that's huge, and we know the Arsenal squad is a little bit threadbare at times.
So what's going to happen there? Trossard will come in for Martinelli. Who will they go with on the right? Who will replace Saka? Who's going in there?
Because
it's not often we see it.
No, it could be Gabriel Jesus.
Probably Jesus will probably go up the middle, will he, if he doesn't have Havertz?
It'll depend. What's the
young lad? Who's the young lad they have? What's his name?
Ethan Noweri.
Noweri, yeah.
Ethan Noweri, yeah. He could play in a 10 maybe or 9. And obviously, this not having a striker now is gonna leave them a bit short. They sold Eddie. They didn't replace him.
So he might go in there and maybe Jesus on the right.
Possibly.
No, Sterling.
Sterling maybe goes through the middle or on the left. Trossard will play the opposite position to whichever he decides not to play Sterling in. And then maybe Jesus on the right. So you end up with Jesus on the right and maybe Trossard on the left, which then brings Sterling in as the 9, or you end up with Jesus on the left and Sterling on the left with Trossard as the
9. 1 Villa 3 when Spurs West Ham 1 all. It's gone for a 0-0 Ipswich Everton. I don't think they've had a 0-0 yet, have they? Not Ipswich. Ipswich must have scored nearly in every game at this stage, have they?
They'd be close, all right, yeah.
United 0 Brentford 2. That'd be a big result. And Newcastle 1 Brighton 2. Interesting. Very impressed with the Brighton manager so far, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
What are you going here for? Are you still going for an Arsenal win, or are you getting tight?
Listen, here's the thing. The only thing I see that getting Arsenal over the line against Bournemouth is the fact that, and we've spoken about it recently, they're just so good at the back. They really are. They've got Saliba. They've got Gabriel. They'll have probably Calafiori at left back. And they'll do something at right back, I'm sure. Maybe the boy Kivior or something. But I think they've just been so well organised. And their game management at times is fantastic. And so I'm just going to say they'll get over the line 2-1. But I don't think it'll be an easy day at the office, and it wouldn't shock me either if Bournemouth were able to do them up.
Yeah, tough place to go, isn't it? Tough place to go as well. Wolves versus Man City.
Wolves will do what Wolves do. They'll make this tough, but unfortunately, Wolves concede too many goals, and City score too many. City scored 3 the last day out. Wolves conceded 5. That just makes the day really, really difficult. Now, I do think Wolves will get on the score sheet. They play well on the counter-attack. The boy Cunha has been phenomenal for them. Been phenomenal. They won't be playing the lad that United just took off them. I know that for sure. Anyway,
that's true.
And that's gonna look like even better business when you're short a striker, that he's left the building. And he could have been somebody to bridge that gap, Joanne. Myself and Noah spoke about this the other day.
Yeah, I think
a real bad piece of business.
Ryan was in the chat on Monday night. He's a Wolves fan and stuff like that, and he was giving us a feel for kind of the feeling around the place over Gary O'Neill at the moment and stuff like that.
Right.
Would you fear for Gary going into the international break? Obviously, City's a tough one. We're not going to judge him on that, but it's been a tough one in terms of he's lost a lot of talent as well, hasn't he?
Do you know what? I got to be honest with you, and this will come as a shock to a lot of people. I think Wolves right now are a better coached team than Man United are. I think if you look at individuals, we know the collection of individuals at Man United is a better collection because they've spent more money on it, right? But if you look down to the bare bones of what Wolves do as a team with what Gary O'Neill gives them behind the scenes and what he asks of them, I think they're a well-drilled side, Wolves. I think at times they've been a little bit unlucky. They bumped into Brentford, who stuck 5 past them. They bumped into Chelsea, who stuck 6 past them. I know they changed the goalkeeper, Sam Johnston. I was a huge Jose Sa fan. Really, really big Jose Sa fan. I thought, why would you change? Like, the lad's a really good goalkeeper. And they took the boy Johnston in. He's had a couple of games where he hasn't covered himself in glory. But I like how Wolves play. I like how robust they are. I like how competitive they are. I like some of the patterns of play they use. I just think at times, if the individuals aren't good enough, it makes the collective more difficult. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of see you know what a Gary O'Neill team is going to look like and how it's going to set up and the way it's going to play and all. So you can tell there's no lack of coaching there and stuff like that.
No.
Maybe sometimes you just in that key moment you lack that bit of quality and stuff like that. That's all.
I think so. But I think that's also at times not down to the manager. That's based on the infrastructure around the club, as in who's bringing the players in and who's selling the players. Because when you lose a Pedro Neto, that's huge in your team. Pedro Neto for Wolves was the equivalent of a ball carrier. They give him the ball and they allow him to move with them. That allows everybody to step higher up the pitch. And because it allows everyone to step higher up the pitch, you can then press from a higher position. When you don't have that kind of a player to occupy 2 or 3 players, and when the ball retention isn't as good, you're always under the cosh. The ball is coming back at you too quickly in waves. And I think the boy actually, Strand Larsen, has looked okay, the striker. And he's got Cunha as well, who has looked good. And I know the boy Tommy Doyle, who's at Manchester City, has looked good. There's the boy Aït-Nouri. I know he's been linked with you guys. There's a lot of quality there. And there's a lot of stuff that, they just haven't clicked yet. But, I don't think he's miles away from Gary O'Neill. I think obviously it's results business and ultimately results to determine whether he's a manager or whether he's not the manager. But I think at times you've got to look past some of that and say, all right, well, what else is going on that we like? What don't we like? And I know, listen, I'm not going into my Eric Ten Hag moment here. What's the process like? Like, if I look at Wolves, the process at Wolves looks far better than the process at United. It really does.
Yeah, I think looking at it, it's just as you said, it's one of those things. It's results driven, and I think what's keeping a lot of these managers at bay is, one, the market is horrible at the moment, and two, I think no team is really that detached yet, because a lot of teams have been performing pretty poor. So it's quite condensed down there as well. You're not really totally detached yet at any stage, So
absolutely.
I think they'll run it till the next window or the next international break, and then see
I think that would be the bare minimum I would expect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You go for a City win here, though, I'd imagine. Yeah.
I'm going for a City win. I am. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 3-1.
3-1. And then the Super Sunday, Liverpool versus Chelsea at Anfield. We spoke about this, that this is the beginning of kind of an acid test for Arne Slot up till now. Not that he's had an easy ride, because you go with the fixtures that are presented to you, but certainly he's had one of the easier runs so far. So this will be an interesting test. Maresca flying high with Chelsea. Chelsea playing really well. Liverpool playing really well as well under Arne Slot. How do you see this one going?
Well, I'm from a neutral point of view, I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest with you. I think, they're two of the informed teams in the league. Two managers coming in. This will be different because it's two new managers trying to bring their stamp and their authority to two new kind of projects, so to speak. We know what we've seen over the years with Klopp and Mourinho and Klopp and Tuchel and bits and pieces like that. But now we've Slot and Maresca, so it will be different. But I still think it'll be a feisty occasion. I still think there'll be two teams going out to win this on Sunday. I expect to see goals. I expect to see a number of goals. And I actually think this might just end in a draw. And that's I'm tipping my cap to my beat the bookie later, but I see goals, and I see both teams kind of stifling each other where the victory is concerned, that kind of way,
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling. I don't know. I have a feeling about this one that this could be comfortable. This could be comfortable for Liverpool, like a 3-1 win or something.
Right.
They're missing Fofana. They're missing Cucurella. They're missing a number of players. We know that Reece James has begun training again this week and stuff like that. Itching obviously to get back. Who else are they missing on there? They're missing others as well, aren't they?
They might be, but I think with the size of the squad, if you look at they're probably going to have the boy Renato Vega in at left back. He's played recently and he's done quite well. He's scored as well. You still got the likes of Colwell and the Sassy and Badiashile and the boy that came from Tosin Adarabeo, who's come in from Fulham. On the right, you'll have Gusto. Then you're going to have that anchor in the midfield, which is generally, it's generally Caicedo and Enzo. So that'll happen. And then you'll have Palmer in behind Jackson, and then you'll have Madueke and probably Sancho. That's what I would expect it to be. Again, barring any injuries I don't know about, but I think I wouldn't necessarily be worried about what the individuals were. I just think he's got them singing from a hymn sheet where everyone knows what the words are, and it looks like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, and it's one I'm really looking forward to as well, because I do think it will be quite a test for both managers, and whoever team comes out of this, if it comes out in a draw, it means that Chelsea have really progressed that gap in terms of that kind of thing, in terms of performance, stuff like that. If it comes out with a Liverpool win, depending on the win, whether it's a tight win or stuff like that, and listen, I take a tight win right now, 3 points. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a fascinating match, as you said, because of the narrative.
Yeah.
2 new managers in the league, at 2 very big clubs as well, who are really, really performing well. So it's going to be really, really interesting. But I just don't know. Liverpool, Anfield, the only thing, if it's a slight thing, obviously Alisson out and Kelleher in, but I wouldn't be overly worried about that. I think Kelleher has performed well and has performed really well against Chelsea in the past as well. So it wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't. I hadn't even brought it into my thinking, to be honest with you, because I just think it's one of those that when Alisson does step out, I think Kelleher's been able to keep up that end of the bargain to the point where it's not something you worry about. So I didn't really put it into the calculations, but I still think there's goals there. I really do. I think that they're 2 really attacking teams. And I think it'll be ferociously. I think that the pace in the game will be ferocious. I expect there to be a number of cards. I expect it to be end to end. That's the way. I don't think it'll be 2 teams feeling each other out. That's not what I expect to see. I expect this to be hell for leather from the first minute.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the 2 trio midfields matching up against each other as well. You got Alexis in there with Gravenberch. I really want to see how Gravenberch performs in this as well, against a side that's really top at the moment in terms of midfield and stuff like that as well. So it's a good asset test for the likes of Ryan as well. And interesting to see with Dom as well, what kind of game Dom has as well. Szoboszlai as well. It's going to be really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to that midfield battle to see how it goes. I'm just praying and hoping it's not spoiled by stupid officiating. You know what I mean? That they understand the magnitude of the game.
I think the issue is that's always on the cards.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to have to happen is we're going to be watching games of football with the caveat that we're going to have to expect bullshit, because that's what we've gotten used to, to a certain degree. And I know with the addition of VAR and things like that, the decisions should be getting better, but generally speaking, there's still been quite a number of incidents that haven't been,
Yeah, I'm just hoping the ref in the first 10 minutes doesn't get overly picky and start dishing out cards and kind of putting a ruin on the game kind of thing. That you understand that these are 2 teams really going at it. There's a feisty midfield in there. It's going to be a proper battle and all those kind of things. And just make sure that, kind of officiate it and referee it the way you would expect. Referee it in a kind of a more, I don't know, more progressive way.
I didn't know who the referee was. It's John Brooks.
So I'm just hoping he's not card trigger happy, that kind of way.
Do we know what his last name was?
I've no idea. But I just know that both those midfields are going to get stuck into each other, because that's really what's going to dictate the game, I think. And I just see that will kick off, as you said, very quick in the match. And I just hope, there's no silliness in terms of the officiating, because we don't want it to spoil it. What are you going for in it?
I'm going 2-2.
2-2. Going for a draw.
Going 2-2. I think there's going to be goals. I think there's going to be end to end, and I think it's going to end up in some sort of a dead rubber, let's call it.
Yeah, listen, we know how good Cole Palmer is. The only thing I would say is that in some of the bigger games, at times he's gone a little bit missing and hasn't showed up in those games. So let's see what happens. But it's certainly going to be unbelievable. Next Sunday is tasty day of football. Chelsea versus Newcastle, Palace versus Tottenham, and West Ham versus United, and Arsenal versus Liverpool. Yeah, they're coming thick and fast now. Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't officiate a Premier League game the last day out.
Okay. Interesting.
Now, I don't know if that's for any particular reason. Because I was going to look to try and see, okay, what was the last game he did, to just try and get some sort of info off, what was there lots of cards? Was there lots of, how did things go?
Is he trigger happy?
Is he trigger happy? Yeah. But so far, I'm really struggling to find him in a game. I'm 14 games in and I haven't seen him. We haven't got anything here, which is very strange. Josh Smith, there's another one. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. You keep yapping away there, and I'll.
Yeah, well, we're rounding out. Then Monday is Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace. Is our Monday night game.
Is Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace?
Yeah.
This is a big game, isn't it? As in, this is a real big game for Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner. If you look at what's gone on at Crystal Palace since the end of last season, I think everybody is shocked. Obviously the boy Anderson left and Michael Elise left, but they look like a totally different side. Two players have left the building, and they just look like a totally different side. They're devoid of any sort of confidence. They look blunt in front of goal. They look gapey at the back. They just don't look like the team.
Gahey looks a shadow of himself.
And actually, do you know what? I actually don't think he's been as bad as some of them. But don't forget, he would be the closest player affected by Anderson leaving, because he was his partner. And if that's now, they brought in the lad, they brought in the boy Chadi, the Moroccan lad, who was at Betis via Barcelona and whatnot, and they look like he was going to be, their replacement. And then all of a sudden, he ended up getting injured, and he was out of the lineup. So now they've got the boy Lacroix, who they've brought in from Germany, and they've Chalobah in there as well. But he doesn't seem to have kind of settled on an 11. There seems to be an awful lot of
chopping and
changing week to week, which I think it's very difficult. Even if you get a little bit of fluidity from one performance, if you don't get the result and you change the team, you lose I feel like at times you'd be better off going in with, okay, lads, we're going to play the same starting 11 for the next 3 games. Just to allow guys to build relationships. Like, surely to God, the access there with Chalobah and Gahey should work. Two really good, athletic, quick centre backs.
Big lads.
That they should work. And the boy Lacroix in there in the middle and stuff like that. And if on paper, I think it works more for me than it has been, and I'm expecting them to kind of catch fire at Crystal Palace, but it just hasn't happened so far. Forest, on the other hand, though, have been very good.
Yeah, they've been the other shock of the season, really, haven't they?
So to each end of the spectrum, isn't it? I expected a certain amount from Palace. I'm not getting anywhere near it. I expected a certain amount from Forest. I'm getting way more than I thought it was going to get.
Way above it, yeah.
Way above it. And every game Forest play, I kind of think this will be the one where they fall down. this will be the one where, things don't go well, blah, blah, blah. But in fairness to them,
they're ticking along.
They're grinding along. They've had like the draw, obviously, at Chelsea was a great result for them, especially when you consider, they played with 10 men for a lot of the game.
Yeah, after 20 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've good draws with Brighton. They beat you guys. They've a draw with Wolves. They pick up a win away at Southampton. They've got another draw at Bournemouth. Like they've been tidy and efficient. Very new now at Wolves. Very new now at Wolves. But like we spoke about it last season. I love the Anthony Elanga. I love the Morgan Gibbs White and the Callum Hudson-Odoi triangle. I love that. And I think Chris Wood has been excellent for them. With the boy, Awoniyi, obviously loss of form and fitness and stuff like that. That's been a struggle, but I think Wood has stepped up massively and done great things for them,
Yeah.
And just actually, and I think I possibly spoke about it the last day, but I'm going to mention it again. The centre-back, the boy Murillo. He will not be at Notts Forest much longer if he keeps putting in these types of performances. He is phenomenal. He really is.
He was an absolute warhorse against us at Anfield.
Yeah, and like he's week to week, he's just churning in performance after performance. Like he's big, he's physical, he loves a tackle, he heads the ball well, he travels with the ball so well at his feet. He pings passes. Like the guy has absolutely everything there is going.
And fancies it as well when he's on the pitch.
Yeah, and like he's 22 years of age.
Yeah.
He's 22.
He definitely won't be there.
That's a massive ceiling for a centre-back to be playing at the level that he's playing at. Like I'm looking at him going, I'd take your absolute hand off. And the other thing about him is he's a left-sided centre-back, which a lot of teams look to try and get hold of, but find a great difficulty in doing so.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. What are you going for here?
I'm going Forest to nick it 2-1.
A lot of tight ones this weekend, isn't it?
Sure is. When I was putting my bets together for Beat the Bookie, there was a lot when I was kind of going, Jesus, how do you pick a winner here? Now I did in the end, but we did what we did.
Quick one. Let's run down through United. Have a quick chat about it. Wanted to get your thoughts on obviously.
Niall, do we have to?
Yeah, well, we'll do it for a minute or two, and then we'll do it.
I'm only joking. I
wanted to get your thoughts on Alex Ferguson. Obviously, a lot of melee and blow up are all about this during the week. United had sacked him. Then we heard that it was amicable, that he's at 83 or 84, whatever age he is now, and he kind of wanted to peg back on his commitments to stuff and all, and maybe enjoy life a bit, as you do.
Absolutely.
Most of us would like to be doing it at 65, but he's 83. Obviously loves it. How are you feeling about that? Then let me know about Ten Hag, the international break. Then a lot of people are questioning Ineos, what Ineos promised when they came in, and what they're delivering now. Are they being discussed enough? And then obviously the injuries.
I think obviously the Ferguson thing for me, it's much to do about nothing. This is your typical, if this was two lads on the pitch, this would be called handbags, right? For me, I think the club owes him nothing at this stage. If we look at the 2 million a year he's gotten for the last 11 years, it's money for old rope. It's 22 million. It's not to say it was undeserved or anything like it, but he was very well looked after. I think it's a really good point to make that he's 83 years of age now, and it's time to wind down a little bit. And maybe he doesn't want to be hemmed into being at every United game because maybe he wants to go and watch Rangers, or maybe he has a pal who's still manager somewhere and he wants to pop over there and see him and have a glass of red,
or the horses
or all of this, right? So like, I get that. So for me, the Ferguson thing, it's a bit of a non-event, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a non-event. I would describe it, as a slow news day. I think you can see certain, you can look at things with certain glasses on, and you can find stuff when you want it. But for me, there's there's not a lot in this, you know.
Well, I think initially you're always, because it's United, you're always going to get that reaction, and there's a pile on at the moment as well, because there's so much, as we said earlier, this dark cloud over the whole club at every level about stuff.
Yeah.
So we know that there's, you know, any little bit of news that comes out is a pile on.
Absolutely.
What have you made of? I mean, what have you made of Ten Hag? I think most people going into the international break were kind of expecting a change. It's come some reports have come out saying that, yeah, they spoke about United's form and how it has to improve, but Ten Hag's job was never on the table.
I find that mental, and obviously we spoke about this on the way home in the car tonight. I don't believe the discussion wasn't on the table, because we know there was discussions that happened over the summer with various different, you know, coaches and managers and stuff like that. So you don't have a discussion with a coach or a manager if you're not questioning what you have in front of you. So that for me is ludicrous to think that Ten Hag's future and his role and all of that wasn't on the table. Now, again, that's not to say it's not something. That's not to say it's something that can happen right now. We've obviously talked about the PSR and the difficulty we could have in PSR if we were to possibly get him to exit the building.
7 million.
Right. So possibly the reason why, you know, Ten Hag leaving the building wasn't on the agenda is because the guys sitting at that table understand that it can't, for physical terms, happen right now because of the money. So, you know, it's difficult.
How do you see it obviously playing out? I mean, what's, if you're sitting there now, you're obviously a fan, you're closer than me to United and stuff like that and all. How do you see this playing out? Like, let's suppose you go out on Saturday, you get another bad result against Brentford, you lose. You're going into
I think it's really hard because we don't know what's going to happen on each stone. You know, I think obviously as it plays out, we'll be able to understand how the hand is going to work. But I think, like, you know, if we beat Brentford, there's a sigh of relief, but then you're waiting for something to happen further down the road. If you don't beat Brentford, then maybe, you know, the conversation is, well, why did he last this long? You know what I mean? I think if for reasons unknown to me and you, they've decided that for right now he's the guy, I don't think then the result against Brentford and the result against Fenerbahce is that important, if that makes sense. Because if the conversation has been had at the level it's been had at, and if we're talking about, okay, so lads, at the minute, we can't afford to get rid of him. That's the first problem, right? If that's an issue, we're in trouble. If the other issue is, we also look around the table at the candidates and none of them excite us either. Then you're at a stage where
you're going to have to pay for them as well, because a lot of those candidates are like clubs where you're probably going to have to pay compensation and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. But straight away, they're two huge stumbling blocks. Not having the right candidate, but obviously, you know, if the financial issue is a legitimate issue, which it could be, we knew we were very, very close to the wind, come the end of the summer window and stuff. We obviously had to move Scott McTominay on to allow the Manuel Ugarte deal to happen and stuff like that. So when you can see, you know, movement and fluidity like that in the squad, that could have an impact on what the guys behind the scenes can do with the manager. Their hands might be tied. They might be sitting there saying, we want to get rid of this guy, but we physically don't have the money in our budget because of what's gone on before we came in the door. Do you know what I mean? So if their hands are tied, their hands are tied. I don't know that. We're just going through the ifs and ands and pots and pans. I imagine that's got to be playing a part in it. I don't believe anybody looks at him right now and thinks he's the guy for our job. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I think most of the staunch Ten Hag supporters at this stage, a lot of their thoughts have been turned as well at this stage. So
and I wasn't necessarily staunch Ten Hag, but I was certainly, I don't think he should be sacked. You know?
Yeah.
Now, I think, like, again, one of the reasons why I spoke about him not being sacked was because I didn't love the idea of what was going to come next. And I mean, that for me hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
And that's not to say that Kieran McKenna or Michael Carrick or Thomas Frank or Graham Potter wouldn't get more out of the squad. But I think they're also as much of a gamble as keeping Ten Hag is. So I think if they're going to make a change, I think they're going to look to make a change that they know is as much of a guarantee as they can get their hands on.
Yeah, it's so strange as well, isn't it? Because when you look back, when you think about United down through the years and stuff like that, you would think United could just, when they were where they were and stuff like that, just go in and get an Amarin if you wanted them, or get an Inzaghi, or get an Ancelotti, or whoever it is. You know what I mean? They'd go in and they just say, "This is our guy," and we go in and get him. The way they used to do with players.
Yeah,
but obviously the landscape has changed greatly as well.
Massively. And like when you talk about what you've talked about there, like for me, the Inzaghi thing for me is where that's certainly where I'd be looking, going, okay, we're not getting this guy out of Inter in October because he's not going to leave mid-season. And we're probably not going to get him in January.
You'd have to pay the compensation and all. It'd be fucking huge.
But I might decide, you know what? If I start talking to him in March, I might have twisted his arm by the time we get to June. And I might just be able to factor in at that stage, what we might be down to, 14 million on Ten Hag, something like that. And then I factor in a 16 million. You're talking 30 million to change our manager.
You're talking about binning off a player in your transfer window.
Well, it's right. So that's okay, provided you have the conversation with Inzaghi and he knows, you've just lost a right back or a left back or whatever you've lost. And he's okay with that because he says, well, actually, you know what? I think what you have there will work. If you look at the project that they've done at Inter, like Inter are playing some really, really good football.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good football. But if you look at the shoestring budget they've done it on, it's been phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah. I read at one stage, I think the guy who came in to do the job was the owner's son. Is that right?
Could be, yeah.
I think the guy, I'm going to get some more details on this yet, and we might touch on it another day, but the guy who came in to take over the sort of sporting director role at Inter, is the owner's son or something like this. He's extremely young. I think he's only 25 years of age. But the way they've systematically, manipulated the market with loan signings, with free signings, with cut price signings, they've done this on an absolute shoot, and they've gotten better window to window to window to window. So what's, if he's able to do that at Inter, why isn't he able to do it? We saw Inter play Manchester City in the Champions League final. They were very unlucky. If you were telling me that Filippo Inzaghi could bring that kind of performance and level of performance to Old Trafford,
great
I'd
history
take that
as
all
well.
Day long.
Great history as well. We're bringing academy players through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is could be very important.
Well, I mean, it sings from the hymn sheet that we like to kind of plonk beside us, isn't it? We're the club that always likes to give youth a chance and stuff like that. And so that would be strong, and it's an important thing for us. But like, I mean, for me, you're gonna have to make a serious argument, aren't you? To
convince someone, especially Inzaghi, to convince him to leave Inter to go to United. When you look at the two on paper and stuff like that, and all
and listen, like it's possibly one of those jobs where he goes, you know what, that's big enough for me to leave. because it's Man United, because they're in the gutter, and because I could come and lift them out of.
Be the guy. Be the
Do
guy.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, that would get you roused. It would. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, no,
We'll have to see.
We'll keep an eye on it anyway and see what happens. Right, beat the bookie. Any of you guys in the
bookie.
If you are having a flutter, let us know what it is. I know Ted sometimes jumps in with his. But if anyone else has picked out anything, let us know. We like to see them. As always, gamble responsibly as well.
Absolutely. Now, let's see here. Is he on? Are you? Why don't you go first? Because I'm just.
Yep.
I'm problem. Just finding something here. That's wrong. No. I'm just looking at something for you.
Yeah, I'll kick off then.
You go first. Yeah.
So I started off with my result and both the score, and I have Ipswich to beat Everton and both the score, Man City to beat Wolves and both the score, Liverpool to beat Chelsea both the score, and Nottingham Forest to beat Palace and both the score. And that returns 135 to 1.
I was going to say that's going to be big bucks. Yeah.
And 100%. Not far off our predictions. I mean, you could argue maybe Liverpool, Chelsea could be a draw, maybe. But
absolutely.
The other three, I don't think are a stretch at all. I think it's in line with what our thinking was.
I could see some of that.
I did a straight up treble here. 3 draws. Went back to the 3 draws, of course, and it pays 50 to 1. So I had Tottenham, West Ham a draw, Fulham, Aston Villa a draw, and Newcastle and Brighton a draw.
I don't think that's out of the ordinary at all. Yeah. To be honest with you,
50 to 1.
50 for 3 draws.
3 straight up draws. Yeah, 3 straight up draws.
Wow. That
would. And then I did my goal scorer bet, and I put in. Do you want to guess these? I suppose.
I absolutely do. Give the team.
Ipswich versus Everton.
Laying the lap.
Yep. Bournemouth versus Arsenal. I'm going to have to change that now because obviously you've told me that potentially he's out.
Kai Havertz isn't playing.
So he isn't playing, so that'll have to change. Wolves versus Man City.
We could go the obvious one in Haaland.
Yeah, the Terminator.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool versus Chelsea. A man who loves scoring against Chelsea. Loves cutting in from the right onto the left and into the far corner.
Is it an ex-Chelsea player?
It is an ex-Chelsea player.
Is it Mohamed Salah?
It is. Do you know something? I only seen that clip the other day as well. Remember when Gerrard slipped?
Yes.
Mo Salah in the middle of that huddle celebrating with him.
With Dembaba?
Yeah, and I didn't realise it. I didn't catch it. Right in there celebrating. Yeah, interesting. So the 4 of those, so Mo Salah, Erling Haaland, obviously Kai Havertz, I'm going to have to change. And
are they all goal scorers or results?
Anytime goal scorers.
Okay, go on.
32 to 1.
Okay, it's not too bad.
It's not huge. I mean, you would expect Haaland, Salah. Liam Delap's in fine form at the moment.
He sure is, yeah.
So the only other one then is Kai Havertz, which would have to be changed. So I suppose you put in someone else there. Who would you put in? Maybe Trossard or something. You might get better odds as well, actually.
Yeah, you
so then my try. Yeah, that's
right.
My
I did 3, but I changed what I do usually.
Okay.
Because as I said to you, I was looking at who's going to play and when they're going to play and blah blah. And I said, you know what? I don't love that tonight. I said I'm going to go a different way. So I did 2 results on both the scores instead. I did one which I'm going to call a conservative one, and I did a second one which is a bit of a punt. So my conservative result on both the score is Man United Brentford.
Okay.
City with Wolves.
Is Man United Brentford not your bit of a punt now?
No, it's sure not, United's about to score, City about to score, and Arsenal about to score.
Oh, yeah, that's conservative enough.
I would think that's conservative. Arsenal and City are two of the top 3 teams in the league, and United are just at home, and they're not playing anything overly special at the minute. So I'm hoping. Now that pays 24-1. It's not massive, but it would do,
Cover your weekend.
Now here's my big one, right?
It's just going to be outlandish.
It's not outlandish at all. It's not outlandish. Leicester, I'm about to score.
Yeah.
Ipswich, I'm about to score.
Yeah.
Draw Liverpool and Chelsea, about to score.
That's it?
That's it. What's a pay?
75?
92.
92-1.
92-1. You take that, wouldn't you?
I'd take it if I was on it, but I wouldn't take the draw.
No, obviously not. But, I mean, like 92-1, that's not a massive shout. Now, listen, here's what's going to happen, right? You'll stuff Chelsea. Everton and ram raid Ipswich, and Southampton will pull up and beat Leicester, and we look silly beggars. But anytime scores, Liverpool, what? Anytime scores, Liverpool 5-4. Both Liverpool, it was 3-1 Chelsea, you or Dazzler, I guess. Ooh. I assume it's Jota and Palmer. Jota and Palmer?
Or Mo. Oh, 5-4. 5-4 would be.
He was evens for any time goal scorer. Well, he was on my what I was using. Let him come back to us, but I have one more for you.
Yeah. And
this is just my card book, my cards and my bookings, yeah. Because this is one that it's dear to my heart. Casemiro looks like he will probably play at the weekend. With obviously Mainu and Ugarte probably not ready for action. So I expect to see Casemiro line up alongside Christian Eriksen. And I think he's a model for a card. A guy I talk about all the time on this, Bournemouth's Marco Senesi. I think he's the most booked player in the league, and always does a great job for us. And then a guy who doesn't always pick up a card, but he seems to really enjoy getting physical. Jota is one, and Palmer is no. Okay. And he really enjoys getting physical when he goes to Anfield, and that's one Enzo Fernandez. So Casemiro, Senesi, and Fernandez, 3 cards, 35-1.
Do you know who could be a good one for you? Whoever plays that left back for them against Mo Salah, that Voyana.
So my issue was I don't know who it's gonna be.
So it's very
so you'll have to wait, because obviously Cucurella's out of action. And he's either got the boy, so he could play Renato Vega, who's played there recently. He could play Ben Chilwell, but I'd say it's unlikely. And he could decide to play the boy Levi Colwell at left back, which he has done a couple of times.
Yeah, and put Badashile and Disasi in the middle.
Well, he'll probably put Badiashile and Adarabeo. Diaz. He's gone Diaz and Jota. Right.
Yeah. What about Gusto on the other side against Diaz?
Gusto's always good for a card. Always good for a card. But I just think I've seen a couple of times that Enzo, he gets a little bit feisty at Anfield. I don't know whether it's, you know what it almost looks like sometimes. It almost looks like he's going there and he's going, I fucked up. I should have came here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he looks a bit, I'll show you. And he can just be real rash at times.
Got the McAllister connection there as well.
Yeah. And there's a bit of that going on as well. And, you know, he might have been a closet fan of some other club as well. And all of a sudden, it's just, the head's gone, you know.
Have a match then. What would you have? You'll have Caicedo then against Gravenberch, will you?
You'll have Caicedo and Gravenberch, and then you'll have Palmer and Enzo, and they'll go head to head with Dominic and McAllister.
Interesting. That Gravenberch Caicedo one could be feisty as well.
I don't think Gravenberch is overly feisty.
No, but he'll try to make.
I think he's very technical.
But he tries to play in a way as well to kind of nearly make a fool out of you, you know, that kind of way in the way he plays. He gives you that kind of vibe.
He's quite a technical player. You know, he is quite a technical player.
Yeah, when Caicedo gets a bit frustrated, potentially, I'd say. Should be interesting.
He might decide to launch into something. If you're lucky, you never know.
Yeah, we shall see.
Never know. You look at the big city.
Anyway, that's it. Another good show. That's it. You're doing all your bets? Brilliant.
I am done and dusted, my good man.
Well, folks, hope you enjoyed the show. I will be back tomorrow with a Chelsea preview. So it should be interesting. Keep an eye out for that. It should go up in the afternoon at some stage. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. The like is the most important, folks. Like. Most of you guys are subbed at this stage. Hope you enjoyed the show. And then I'll be back Monday mashup. And then next week we'll be doing Pro Wrestling Weekly. We will preview OTT's 10th anniversary with one Finn Balor and JD McDonough scheduled to appear.
I thought you were going to tell me they were on the show next week. I was like, wow, that's a coup, isn't it?
Well, they will be. The show is on Saturday. Just not our show. That's the problem. Okay,
yeah,
folks.
I assume you're not frequenting, Noel.
No, I'm not going to the show, no. New Dominic Mysterio t-shirt is mint. When have you got City Dazzler? Baz wants to know.
That's a couple of weeks away, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
is it December?
Same for us as well. We're November, aren't we?
I think it's December.
I think we're playing them right after the international break.
We don't have, like, we've obviously Brentford. We've what is that shot? We've Brentford, and then we've Fenerbahce. We've West Ham, Leicester. We've Chelsea, PAOK, Leicester again, Ipswich. Have we got it? Niall. We've a game today on my birthday.
There you go.
We've Bodo Glimt, Everton, Arsenal. We don't actually have City until the 15th of December.
Don't sleep on Bodo Glimt. You know they beat Porto 3-2. Just saying.
Listen, I'll be delighted to be out of this competition by January. Absolutely delighted.
December 15th, Man City.
That's it. This is true. This is true.
Right, folks. Cheers for tuning in. We'll talk to you again real soon.